Or I should be flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. I called a special meeting today because we had some time-sensitive stuff that we needed to get done, several different things to address, and we had conflicts of schedule. I really hate that we couldn't have got it done Tuesday, but we'll take care of it today. Okay. We got a kind of an abbreviated agenda today, and so I guess we want to wait until Tuesday before we approve minutes from last week. That Michelle said that really the way a special meeting is ran isn't necessarily where we.
I think you can do it either way.
You could do it, yeah.
I think you probably need to do it because it's
Yeah.
already on our webpage.
Yeah, it's already on the agenda.
And so if people's reading them, and I would advise Mr. Chairman to,
Okay.
I'd entertain a motion to approve. I didn't see any changes.
I concur.
I would make a motion we approve the minutes as presented for last week.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Pass 3-0. Right down. And that was for 2-7, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right, then we'll just go right on Connie.
I appreciate you guys coming today so that we could get this taken care of. I had problems with CIC in getting my weed management annual report done. They had a few glitches in their system and they did an update the end of January, so it kind of created some more problems. But I have a copy for each of you to look over, and then I have the original.
Do we have a lot more carryover chemicals than we normally do? It looks like we did to me.
We carried over quite a bit of 2,4-D amine. I purchased the same amount as we did last year.
Just didn't use as much because of
And-
weather or whatever.
Right.
Okay.
With
I just
the-
thought we had an awful lot of inventory. I didn't know what the deal was.
Yep. We had
Okay.
some carryover, but it wasn't volume. We had more carryover, but in
Well, that's-
dollars it wasn't.
Yeah, because
It
that's a
was
cheap
240
chemical.
amine.
Yeah,
Yeah.
cheap carrier of that. over.
Yeah. And we purchased it at a really good price, so I'm okay with that.
Okay.
This annual report is due to the state, and I let the weed specialist know what the circumstances were. They just request an overview each year of the amount of chemicals sold, the acres treated, and the number of weeds that I estimate that we have in the county. And that's done through what they call a survey. So there's 10 sections that we take a look at, and those are supposed to be a good cross-section of the sections in the county. There's some from each corner of the county and some from the central part of the county. So they try to kind of do a random selection. The state gives us those sections to survey, says please go out and take a look and see what weeds you find on these. If we don't find weeds that we know we have in the county, or it's a less, if we have all crop ground and we don't have a lot of pasture that I survey, obviously that's going to skew the numbers on sericea and musk thistle and bindweed and such. So they allow a director's adjustment to estimate the number of acres that we feel are infested with the noxious weeds in the county. So we have a lot of sericea, musk thistle, and Johnson grass, and bindweed. So those are our main ones. But
Cedar trees. Cedar trees.
yeah,
Anything, was there anything of surprise? Or something that looks like it's expanding as far as noxious weeds or anything out of the norm?
no, ours are pretty steady. We had a wet year, so you know, we had wet, then dry, then wet, so it was just kind of an interesting year weather-wise.
I think I'm seeing more Johnson grass starting to
There's
spread.
definitely a lot more Johnson grass down your way especially, and there are other parts of the county where it's spreading, and we have a plan this spring to get out and spray that when it's the optimal time, which is 18 to 24 inches, and Seth and I are already on the same page as far as getting that done as early as we can. So hopefully we have weather cooperation with that, and he's got availability from
I think
staff.
he just walked by. It's probably too early to start pulling him into noxious weed stuff because you got.
We've been working together. He's going to the training the first week of March that we have, as well as Jessica. And then they're both going to go to training the last week of March in Manhattan, which is the weed school is what it's called. And that's when, after he completes that, he has to complete that, be appointed by you guys, and pass his commercial applicator's license. And once he does those things, then we can write a special letter to Scott Marsh at the Kansas Department of Agriculture and let the Department of Agriculture know that you're now appointing Seth as the weed director.
So you said Manhattan was the weed school?
Mm-hmm. It is. Weed
Bite
school.
your tongue. I see where the thoughts are going.
I just wanted to clarify.
It's not in
that.
Colorado.
Yeah. Don't bother me. Okay,
So how many
when
copies? You just need one copy signed?
Yes, that's the original.
when this all takes place, will that? I mean, he'll get the schooling and everything done to take over, but that won't happen until right at the time when you
Right.
take your new office, correct?
Right.
So, I mean, it wouldn't happen.
We're gonna get our ducks in a row though, so that his training's out of the way,
Mm-hmm.
and so that he's educated, and Jessica's really catching on as far as sales. And we did have inventory, let's get that one out of the way, but we did have a few sales in January, and she helped me with the month-end inventory.
Sign that, or-
Mm-hmm.
So I think we have a good plan for succession.
Well, you're a phone call away. You're
Yes.
going to be right here.
Always. And Seth and I work very well together, and I know that he
I'm sure
knows
they'll be
that
glad.
yeah, and that's understandable. And
Sure.
I've told him that that'll be just fine if he's got questions.
So now this schooling he's going to, will that get him certified in his other first?
Anything you want to see?
They gotta be certified to spray, correct?
That's the same as
No,
those.
they
I
don't
think
have
it's-
to be certified
was it
to
the same one?
spray.
How come the farmers?
I didn't think it was.
You have to
think it's
be
the same as
certified
those.
to buy Tordon.
What she handed us.
I guess it
Tordon
is the
is a
same.
restricted
I was thinking it looked like it had a different.
So you
Cover
have to
sheet's
have
a little
your
different.
commercial applicator's license.
So you don't, county doesn't use any toward
Sorry.
We do.
No,
If
it's good.
they can work under mine,
their license?
because I am a phone call away.
I see.
So the person who's actually spraying doesn't have to have a commercial applicator's license as long as there is a person with a commercial applicator's license supervising them. So that's the way we've done it in the past.
Okay.
None of our applicators in recent years have had a private pesticide applicator's license or a commercial applicators. They've just used mine. So,
Weird question, but I look at your back 2 pages about estimated acreage and it breaks it down by crop. So it looks like, if my math's right, 2% of our total acres in our county were basically surveyed. Does that break it 6,400 acres out of like total of 281,600?
I think that's right, yeah.
Okay.
There's 10 sections.
Okay.
Back to
Just
the
kind of
page.
curious, is that common? Is that ordinary? Is there something we should be
It's
doing?
not a
Very back.
percentage. That's what the state gives us as weed directors, and they say, here's the list of
you-
the sections that we want you to go out and take
There's
a
still
look
more
at.
Sure.
pages back
And
here.
it's supposed to be a randomly generated list.
Okay.
The one right before
We
that.
have, there are a lot of counties that have larger land base than we do. They
Sure.
still have to do 10.
Okay.
So it's not a percentage, it's 10.
So that's not the actual acreage that you've dealt with. That was just a cross section.
That's supposed to be kind of a snapshot view.
Okay.
So the state asks us to do that snapshot and says, here's these sections.
Sure.
But they also want us to be cognitive of what else is out there.
Okay.
So I can use the adjustments. There's a page in there that says director's adjustment. And so I use those adjustments to say, no, we have a lot more Sarisa than what I saw on those 10 sections. Because I didn't see a lot of Sarisa in those 10 sections, because we didn't have a lot of CRP and we didn't have a lot of pasture. So it's reflective.
Okay. I was just curious as it goes through each one of the different types of weeds. It just seemed like a very small cross. I mean, it's only about 2% of our entire county. It just seems like a very small cross section
Right.
deal.
And that's why they allow us to make those adjustments. Because when you sell enough chemical to treat 15,000 acres, then, you know, it's,
Okay. That's the amount that, okay. 15,000. Okay.
yeah.
Okay, do I hear a motion to accept Connie's annual noxious weed eradication progress report for 2016?
So move.
I second it.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any other discussion on this? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Pass 3-0.
And then I've just got my monthly end report there for you too, just for. And the other thing that I had was that I would like to go ahead of the chemical bid process. I would like to go ahead and purchase some Milestone and get it purchased for the year so that we can get it in. This time of year, the only chemicals that I'm really selling are Tordon, and Milestone is a newer chemical that kind of works in this. It's similar to Tordon. It doesn't have the carryover, so a lot of farmers are already asking for it, and we in the past have purchased this outside of the chemical order because we can get a better deal on it if we don't include it in the chemical bid. And it's the same price as last year.
Do we need to approve that by, can we just give her a nod, or do we need to vote on that?
Well, it's
Oh, is you've
for-
already actually got the P, okay, I didn't
Yeah.
realize you had the PO.
Yep, I have a PO, so.
And you already sent out the bid, you only had one person bid, or?
No, this is,
Oh, this is just this one chemical.
right.
You had a bid out the rest.
That's not what we did. Sorry.
Because we did have that carryover,
Sorry.
so I don't see a need to do it right away
Okay.
until spring gets here a little bit more, and then we'll,
What's in
it's the same price as it was last year. We-
42,
It's
45.
under the 5,000 threshold, so you really don't have to have signatures on that, correct?
$24.99.
2,500.
2,500?
2,500, yeah, it's 4205,
Okay,
so.
then I guess you
Do I hear a motion
I so
to,
move, Mr. Chairman, to authorize her.
I'll second.
it's been moved and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Pass 3-0.
You want this back?
No, you can keep that one. I just needed the original back. So I will get that ordered, and we'll probably be in a month or so to do the chemical bid order. We'll see how sales go between now and then, and just kind of see where we're at.
Okay.
You need this? We probably better date it today, because that was dated for Tuesday, and we're
Oh,
Tuesday today.
yes, my signature
So
was.
you may make. a
The
note of that,
first one that we signed, I signed it today.
Yes, that's fine.
But it's
Okay.
sign- it's the date was
Well,
2/14, it's not a biggie, but
But
it's
the
16.
the original thing that we signed, I did date it today, so,
Okay.
the report.
Yeah,
Yes, yes,
Michelle, if
yes,
you want to
yes.
put 216 next to their signatures. I signed it on 214.
Okay, that's fine. I did. We want to keep your radio station happy.
We don't really have a spot in here for public comment, so, I mean, we probably better stick to agenda and then maybe at the end if you have a spot, but that'd be my suggestion.
I mean, after, should it be before the executive session, or,
Probably. But, I
okay,
mean, it's not gonna listed on the agenda, so.
okay. Alrighty, Peggy, come on up. Well, that's what, he was, said something about public comment.
Yeah, I mean, it's not even
before
on
the
the
executive
agenda.
session.
We need to replace 22 of our dry sprinkler heads. Not a cheap item. So to stay in compliance with the fire marshal.
They outdated, bad, or I mean, what?
A
what's the-
little of both. They're getting close to outdated and they are bad, so.
What if Troopers said what's going on up there? Yeah. I'm fine with it.
Do I hear a motion to accept the PO on 22 dry fire sprinklers for the nursing home?
So moved.
I second, Mr. Chairman.
It's been moved and seconded. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Passed 3-0.
Thanks. Thank you.
Thank you.
Peggy, I'd like to call a executive session with the three commissioners, county councilor, and Peggy on capital.
Consult with an attorney for the public body.
All this?
Do you want to do this now or at the end of the session?
Well, she was getting ready to leave, and she needs to be involved in this.
Okay.
Or can you stick around, or would you rather do it now? It's only gonna take 5 minutes, 2 minutes.
Let's just do it now.
Okay.
Okay, that goes over.
Eric, there should be a copy in there with two different.
In the yellow
pages.
folder?
Yes.
I'll just pass it over to you and let you know what you're looking for.
So what
Somebody
time-
needs to make
Make
the
the motion.
motion. And, yeah.
Read that.
Uh,
Tell me you don't have to
Oh, you
practice
gotta
it.
read
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Executive session required to guard the confidentiality of the discussion. Return to this room, first floor courthouse, open session.
5 minutes. It'll take less
Okay.
than 5
It
minutes.
doesn't even say 5 minutes. Okay, I move that recess into executive session at 1:20 p.m. To consult with an attorney for the public body, which would be deemed privileged, attorney-client relationship with commissioners, counselor, and administrator Peggy House.
I'll second that.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Passed 3-0.
You can stop the recording.
Yeah.
I can't watch.
Now,
You're
that's
fine.
right. Correct. Okay, we're back in session and with no action taken. We don't.
Okay.
Okay, Seth Howard, 120.
Executive session also.
Well, do you have something before?
Oh, I got a couple things I can do before.
Because you're on here, and then we had an executive session scheduled for later.
I got a few things. Well, here's one thing. These are our bridge inspection reports from 2016. Just brought a copy for each of you to have. You can look through it as you please.
Do we have a digital version?
Not, I'll have to go back and check. We
Okay.
might have a digital, but they had sent all these up with their packets. So. And there's a few items in there I might discuss with you today if we get some, if I have some time. PO also for some engineering cost, an updated cost for the signage project for the amount of $6,761.33 to Swab Eaton. This is just to date for what they have done for the engineering services, reimbursed by KDOT after we make the payment.
Can the signage thing that we got a grant for, can that be done in steps or does it have to be banned done all at once? Because if we do it in steps, it's more budget friendly.
And that's what we're gonna discuss later.
Okay. Sorry. Sign it? You didn't sign it?
Well, we haven't approved it yet.
Oh.
Just gonna see if there's anything you wanted to see.
Mr. Chairman, I so move to approve the PO. I haven't seen a number. Road and Bridge Department amount of $6,761.33 for engineering services.
Correct.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Pass 3-0.
Mr. Rumpke, more?
Yes, I discussed with them out.
Okay.
It's about the same low water crossing. And then also, I know we had discussed a little bit about the Ham Quarry royalty dollars. Didn't know if we made a decision on if that money could come into some of the road and bridge funds, or how we could utilize that in one of our funds instead of it going directly back to the general and me not seeing the dollars from that road material.
That would be a question for Pat. Did you understand the question?
Well, I don't think it's a legal question so much as a policy question. I think you can put the funds into whatever.
We're done with it.
wherever
We're
you
done
want
with
to
them.
put them.
What did you call them? Royalty?
It's a royalty, basically. Every time you get 10 cents off.
Where you're wanting to
From
transfer?
Ham, I just want to put it
Not
into
10 cents off, we get
or
paid 10
pay 10 cents
we get
per
paid
ton
10
they
cents.
sell. I'd like to either put it in the bridge fund, so that actually has a revenue going into it, because right now there's no money that's.
Do you know what the balance of that is and the balance of what rock is owed to us?
I had made contact with Jamie. She was looking into it. I have not heard back from her for the rock.
I have no problem with that. I mean, that be designated into the road. I mean, that would be kind of the likely source of funding for bridge or anything into the road fund. So
Yeah, I don't have any problems with that.
Okay.
how do we set that policy? Do we need to actually make a
Do we have
motion
policy
to?
now?
Just make a motion, I think. Right?
You do, I guess. I don't know the mechanics of that, if that's something the treasurer needs to do, or if the clerk does that.
We're not establishing a new fund, so
I
It's
just
just-
receive a check every month, I think is what it is.
It's just redirecting it from going into the general into the bridge fund.
Basically just approval to deposit it into the special bridge or highway or whatever fund you choose.
What?
And I prefer the bridge funds because there's no money going into that unless we place it from another account.
Okay. Do I hear a motion to approve redirecting the royalty funds from Ham's Quarry from that were previously going into the general to now go into the bridge fund?
Mr. Chairman, I would suggest that we get a hold of our auditor to make sure that that's legal, that we can do that. Or do you have any input on that, Jeff? Can we do it?
I don't think there's any issues with it. It's revenue coming in into his operating budget, so I don't see where there'd be any issue.
I've
It's not like a special fund or state
So you're
statute.
You're wanting to take that rock royalty and go into special bridge or special?
Correct.
I'll make that motion, Mr. Chairman.
I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Is there any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Passed 3-0. Michelle, can you direct the treasurer then to make a change or?
Well, it'll be on my side. We get the check, I just have to deposit it into that account, and it really has no
Well-
occurrence on her until she gets the check, and then it shows what account to deposit it into.
So you can deposit this check?
We deposit the check to what account we want. I just wanted approval to be able to put it into that account.
Okay, so, all right.
And
I
I'll
thought maybe,
notify-
It looks
I
like,
can notify
looks
you.
like it should go to the treasurer's office, shouldn't it?
Well,
Well,
it'll
you-
go through them, but I receive the check or in our office, and then we bring it into them.
And
after
before-
we deposit it.
before it was credited to the general, but you will make sure that it gets
Correct.
to the right place. Okay, that's fine. Okay, we've got 20 minutes or so. Did you want to do look into some of this?
Or you
Or-
can go here for the executive session.
I have a telephone conference with the court at 2 o'clock.
Oh,
I'm
I'm-
in my office at 2.
Okay,
Come
so,
back when that's over.
well, I think we should probably go to the executive session then. We have the language for this one. Is it the same?
Recess into executive session at 1:35 to consult with an attorney for the public body, which would be deemed privileged in the attorney-client relationship. That the executive session is required to guard the confidentiality of the discussion. And to return to this room, first floor courthouse in open session at 1:55 p.m. Those present will be the commissioners, the county councilor, and Seth Howard.
Michelle, do you want to see this one?
I get it.
Okay, do I hear a motion?
I so moved, Mr. Chairman.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Passed 3-0.
Okay, we're back on.
Okay, we're back in session. No action taken. Pat Henderson had to leave us just at this time he had to take a call. So we are ready for Corey.
Afternoon, gentlemen.
Hello. Do you mind before you sit down closing that door? Because there's a lot of voices.
Noise.
Come up this afternoon to get a bid spec approved for publishing and requesting bids on the remount of our 2006 ambulance with the bad engine. What I've got here, and we kind of did the math on this. I know we talked about it one time, going with the diesel truck chassis. Given what was projected to spend on this remount versus the cost up front and the cost we would lose on the back end being a remount, I think the gap is too wide right now to make that jump. So what was bid here is another gasoline van chassis. I think when we go new in a couple of years, the gap narrows pretty significantly, but here the gap's much further. The resale drops on the back end. So I think with what was projected to spend, that this is probably the more cost-effective option at this point.
I guess my
How much
in
we're
the
talking difference between the
Uh, The chassis in and of itself about $10,000 to $15,000, probably closer on the 15,000 end. Where we start running into the extra money on this is nobody will remount our van box on a truck chassis. So we start incurring extra costs. So we're looking at a gap on a remount here of around $40,000 between this bid spec and going to the truck chassis. When you start talking about a new ambulance, that narrows down considerably because then you really only have the extra cost of the chassis as opposed to all the extra costs of remounting and re-engineering a box.
What about the one that they already had, Reeboks? You was gonna check into that, you thought it might be a little bit cheaper?
It was $125,000 before we put a single one of our options on it. So that was just plain white not painted our colors. So we were looking at pushing 140,000 for that one. Well, we might as well go to the truck option if we're gonna push that money anyway.
So what is the brand new ones? Cause didn't we give 185 for the last one? That had all the bells and whistles.
I think it was 189,000. A brand new one at this point is gonna be north of 200,000 regardless which option we go with.
They really jumped.
I kind of have some different thoughts. You know, we bought this last one with the more bells and whistles, with the knowing that we were going to rebox that. Well, if they're going to change these platforms on us, and we're not going to be able to remount them to a new chassis without a major problem, I would go with the thought of buying a cheaper ambulance, but then not do the remount, but just go ahead and figure on doing a new one at the end of that trade-in.
Mm-hmm.
Because if we're figuring on that, and in 8 years, even if we would say buy the diesel one now, who says that platform is going to be available to remount our box on in 8 years? What if they change body styles again?
Yeah, and that's a legitimate question. And there is no answer right now. Yeah, who knows what the manufacturer is going to do? And that's part of what's put us in this box now, is because both GM and Ford have dropped their diesel vans, and that's why we're in this gas cycle.
Right.
The next ambulance due for replacement has already been remounted once anyway, and I think it's not a good idea to remount them twice. You start dealing with structural issues and that. So the next cycle, where we're, 2019 is where we're going to budget for a brand new one.
And I that's where maybe we would go with the diesel, but if we buy more, maybe a lower but medium range box, maybe figure X amount of years, and then maybe a trade. See what that would kind of come.
Well, I think
out.
this is just a remount, right?
That
means you're taking your existing box
This is
and
This
our-
is
just
our-
remounting
our
onto.
existing box,
Yes,
right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay.
But that's the reason we have to go with the gas, is because you can't get.
Sure.
If we went with a diesel, it'd be on a different platform.
We'd have to trade this box in on another used box that we don't know.
Sure.
We know this one is structurally sound because we've had it inspected. So
Okay.
we know this is a good box. It just won't fit on a truck chassis. So we incur a lot of extra cost trading around, and then who knows what we end up with.
Is there a Kansas procurement and GSA bids on the E450? Cabin chassis.
Yes, but through these dealerships, they're less money through, because the
Sure.
people that remount these
Okay.
are dealers. For
I just know
Ford.
that's your good baseline, so
Yeah.
I just want to make
They're
sure.
typically cheaper to just buy it through the remount company because they're a dealer.
Sure.
What I was saying, even the one that we just bought last year, we are going to be stuck with the same scenario.
8 years, well, 7 years from now.
Well,
Which
but
is
even
fine.
on the reboxing of it, don't you do that in 4? The rebox at 4?
That was a brand new
No,
one.
8. So that
It's
would be an
okay.
8.
Okay, it would be at 8. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, the plan's 8
Yeah.
years on that one.
So we're going to be in that same situation with that, and
Mm-hmm.
who knows what's going to come about it at that
Well,
time.
It'd really be more than 8, because if you rebox, you're gonna get another, what, 4 to 8?
4 to 8.
So you're up to 16 years on that last one bought
Yeah.
last year.
Possibly.
Yeah.
But
The
we're going to be
chassis
up
should
against the
last
same thing. We're going to have to go
I
back
know.
with another gas if we can still get at that platform to put it on. That
That platform may not exist because I don't have any definitives on this, but the talk is that Ford is going to discontinue the E-Series vans very soon, and that Transit van is going to be the only thing. And
Sure.
I'm almost certain this won't rebox to a Transit what we have now.
Well, hopefully our projections are right. Sounds to me like we're gonna have to buy a brand new ambulance every 4 years. Instead
2 to
of
4, depending on how these cycle out. I mean, the plan is to either rebox or rebox or buy a new one every 2, and put them on an 8-year rotation. It would be nice to get into a rotation though where we've got some resale on the back end, so when we're trading them off or selling them at that 8-year mark, they actually have some resale. Unfortunately, the E-Series gas vans just don't have much resale.
if we went to the other platform with a diesel, would they project out longer? Another 2 years? What at the end of that first chassis? What is it? The engine usually is what we're looking at goes bad.
Yeah, I mean, the engine is the big, that's the heart of the beast, so to speak.
Mhm.
But yeah, the overall systems all start to break down. The interiors start to break down. Your suspension components start to break down. They start nickel and diming you. You start having those major repairs. I think when you start dealing with a diesel engine, we might be able to stretch 2 more years out of them.
That's
just
what I
because
was-
of the durability of the diesel engines.
That's
And
what I
maybe
was
on a
wondering if we
10-year
could
rotation.
do that and possibly not figure on the Reeboks, but go with stretch it out 2 years longer and then just trade it,
Mhm.
or do that because
The trouble is now, we put 75 or 85 in the budget, and we're gonna be short 50 if we,
Well, I can tell you the estimates on this spec, this being the cheapest spec that we went out and got. This, I don't want to call it bare bones, but this is the cheapest option. The only things I've really optioned up in there is a couple safety features for the crews, like hydraulic oxygen lifts to prevent workers' comp injuries. The estimates I'm getting on back on this are 98 to 108,000. So we're already over the projection before we ever talk about a diesel or Type 1 chassis. So.
Yeah, it's a lot easier to stomach,
let
remounting
me ask you a question.
this one currently.
Let me ask you the question. Could we get another 6 months out of the current? No, because the motor's bad.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's bad. That's the
I
problem.
was gonna say, if we had way to get to see where 6 months from now, we'll kind of get to know where we are financially.
Yeah, it's out of commission.
yeah, but and we need that extra one.
It is. We're already bumping up against needing an extra ambulance here and there. It hasn't been a huge problem yet, but there's going to be a day coming when we need 4 ambulances in one day. I've got the staff. I just don't have a truck to put them on. So,
How many bidders are you sending bids out to?
my understanding is, and I'm leaning on Wes on this since this is my first time through this process here,
Sure.
is that we posted on the county website for two weeks, and then the people that gave estimates, I'm going to mail the spec directly to them. So I would say at least 3,
Yeah.
and whoever else would find it on the published site and also submit a bid.
Okay.
Okay, is there any other discussion? Do we need to make a motion to approve the spec sheet for ambulance service to send out?
Boy. Do we need to reconsider the Reeboks and go with the new one and do the lease purchase and budget it out over 4 or 5 years? If the fact that we do this and then 4 years from now, we can't do nothing with it, or it's done.
Well, I project this one just to make sure we're on the same page. I project this one's got 8 years of life in it once we get it.
Yeah.
It just won't be able to be reboxed again.
Which is would fulfill its normal life of what it was
Yes.
planned for.
Yeah, but I completely understand what you're saying too.
And then is there any plan for next year, or that would be 2 years
Next
before?
year is
Next year,
equipment.
I thought next year was a brand new one.
No, 2
No,
years.
2 years.
2019 is what we're going to budget for a brand new one. Next year, cardiac monitors and the Lucas device that you and I have talked about.
This seems like a decent option. It's about under 13,000 a year if you depreciate that out over 8 years.
I'm fine with this.
Yeah. I think it's the only logical choice you got right
yeah,
now.
I really wish
Yeah.
there was a way to step up, but I think the gap is so much larger in this remount process
Sure.
to step up to the diesel truck right now. If we were talking about a new truck, that gap's a lot narrower.
Yeah.
So, what's really bad is we just did this last year for brand new. That's what's really gonna happen.
That's the one that's gonna.
That's what's gonna hurt.
That's what I'm talking about. That we're gonna be, especially since we bought maybe a more upscale one and figured on doing the remount. Will we be able to afford to remount it at that time, or will it even be available?
Well, maybe we need to move that. That's the last new one we got.
Yeah, it's still got.
Yeah, there's not really much we can do about it. We're stuck with it.
Are the other
Yeah.
3 E350s, are they...
We're all E450s right now.
Okay. Just want to make sure I'd like to keep
Yeah,
that
the boxes
similar.
we use exceed the GVW of an E350.
Yeah, okay. I thought so, I just couldn't remember.
Did we get all the repairs taken care of?
All the repairs are taken care of. There is still an outstanding tire bill. I've resubmitted that to Tex Incorporated and have not heard back from
You
them.
got the one at Easton taken care of?
To my understanding, they have paid it.
Okay.
I can call and confirm that though. But
What about the body work?
body work, I haven't been able to get an estimate on it because
that's right.
it's
I'm sorry.
constantly on the road because we're down an ambulance. Every time I get get it free to where I can send it to the body shops and get an estimate, we get calls.
Okay.
So, no, I haven't gotten it done.
How far are we out on this? 60 days?
We're looking at probably closer to 4 to 6 months on this. Yeah. But if you'll notice on the first page, any successful bidder will provide a loaner. I put that right in the spec.
That's, we're wanting to get this, we discussed this at the ambulance advisory meeting last Friday. And,
Do you have anything here in specs about time, or I mean, how many days,
No, but I can add that.
performance? I'm just
We
curious
can
if you want to. This is a safety for you. It might separate out some of the bids when
We
you
could
get them back.
absolutely add something like a 6 month. I know 6 months is pretty standard
Okay.
on this type of turnaround. There's some that'll be quicker,
Sure.
but yeah, we can add a 6 month standard. But the loaner to me was the big deal. If we get the bid spec out, we get a bid we like, you get it approved, they can ship us a loaner as soon as they take the old one
I'll
away.
tell you how you speed it up. You get the loaner, you say, man, we're running the wheels off that loaner. And you're like, we'll have yours there tomorrow.
Yes, sir.
I was gonna say, even if like one company would say, well, we can't meet the 4-month deadline. I mean, if they have a projection there, well, then we could use that when we accept the bids. I mean, if you put that spec there, what if they come back and say, well, we can't meet that spec? I think they ought to at least say in their bid what their minimum time would be.
Wasn't those
Well,
battery boxes out of Texas?
If they can't meet that time limit, they just won't bid. Would be my guess, right?
It's a possibility.
Well, what if multiple come back? I mean, if we put, put it out there and only one company comes back, would we take that as the
Well,
only bid? That's
in
what I'm-
in most projects, and this I consider as kind of a project, but that's just that's a performance. It's a performance bid that most people have in there. I mean, if you leave it wide open, I mean, what happens if they go out 10, 11 months? I mean, even though we have a
Right.
loaner, that's
I'm saying, yeah, I would like that to be in there, but then maybe as a fallback, if they couldn't meet that, they would say when it was, when their minimum date was, and we could consider that. Then they would go ahead and give us that bid, so we wouldn't have to. If the bids came back, we only had one bid because of the time limit. Well, then we'd have to rebid. Is what I'm saying is we could use that criteria when we go ahead and select. You see what I'm saying? Or what if we only get one bid back because of time limit? Then we would have to say, well, we can't just accept one bid. We're going to have to rebid this and open the time frame up, so we get other bids.
So would some language in there that would state successful bids will have a time performance spec based on what they say?
Yeah, we prefer
That'd be
this
better.
time limit, but if this can't be met, the shorter time frame will be considered in acceptance of the bids.
the only problem with that is that they're setting the bid specs on that. That's the only downside to that. So they're telling you like how you could, I don't have a problem with like the 6 months because some verbiage in there, if you cannot meet that demand, please explain why. That's not uncommon too. You can see some of that.
And state your time frame
Yeah.
if this can't be met, if the standard cannot be met.
I wouldn't foresee that being an issue. I mean, just those chassis and those are pretty readily available, but just the mounting itself, physically, everything's up to specs. I just don't want to see you guys hanging out there for 10, 11
Don't
months.
either.
That's what I don't like.
I
Is,
don't either.
That's the reason I was suggesting this, because we need the loaner. And if we have to turn around and rebid it out just on the time frame, then we're stuck not having that loaner for that amount of time.
Yeah.
So,
And my opinion is, and why I put it in there is, no bid would be successful without a loaner program.
Sure.
yeah, we
We've
need
gotta
it.
have something.
Yeah.
Good.
Okay, do I?
Someone?
Okay. It's been moved and seconded. Any other discussion on acceptance of the specs for the EMS ambulance? All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Pass 3-0.
Where are we gonna come up with that 50, extra 50?
believe we or
They're gonna double bill.
this is capital improvement funds is what's going to pay for the remount, I believe.
Yeah,
So we discussed in the budget season last year. What's that?
75,
we budgeted 75,
Yeah.
so.
I mean,
Do we have like an ambulance general or?
I don't think
it's
so.
just general. Your general capital improvement fund is what's going to have to. Those are non-budgeted funds, capital improvement funds. So
Now and I may be very wrong on this. I was told the projection was 85,000.
I think you're right. I think because we
I-
give 75, so we thought, I think somebody, I don't know, it was Wes or said, well, 85. will take
I've heard
care
both
of
figures, so
Yeah.
it. I
that's the
think
reason.
I think it's 85.
And I think, and again, I could be wrong because I wasn't directly involved in it, but it was my understanding since we did those two at the same time through one company, they kind of cut a package break on that too, which may be kind of skewing our numbers now, where it may have been 75, but had we actually remounted one at a time at that, it might have been closer to 85 or 90.
Yeah.
True.
So,
Okay.
well, I can change the verbiage on that easy enough and
Okay.
we'll get it published.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Appreciate
Corey.
it. Have a good one.
Okay, I think we'd added a public comment, so that means Mary gets to talk. I say that every week.
Mr. Rumpke left.
Yeah, Mr. Runke left.
He talked to Seth out there, so he got answered what he wanted.
Okay, the way I take it then, we are really kind of, on our special meeting, we're kind of limited as to what scope what we can do. So with that, do I hear a motion to adjourn?
so move.
I'll second it.
It's been moved and seconded to adjourn. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
215.
We are adjourned at 2:16.